Hi, I am Sir Gerald and welcome to Animo Teach. Are you ready for today's lesson? In this video, I am going to teach you about the results section of a research paper and how to write it properly. Sound interesting to you? Let's dive into it. Today, we're going to talk about the results section of a research paper. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to appreciate the importance of the results section of a research paper and apply the appropriate organization, approach, and content on writing the results section. Let's go to the definition. The results section is where you report the findings of your study based upon the methodology you applied to gather information. The results section should state the findings of the research arranged in a logical sequence without bias or interpretation. It answers the following questions: what happened, what was found. A section describing results is particularly necessary if your paper includes data generated from your own research. This is an example of results using a non-textual element. You will see more of this as we go to the technical part of writing the results section using non-textual elements. Importance. Results provide a response for the question, what is found in the research performed? Therefore, it is the most vital part of the research paper, in a sense that all findings obtained during research are included in the results section. The function of the results section is to objectively present your key results without interpretation and in an orderly and logical sequence using both illustrative materials such as tables and figures and text. A major purpose of the results section is to break down the data into sentences that show its significance to the research questions. When formulating the results section, it's important to remember that the results of a study do not prove anything. Findings can only confirm or reject the hypothesis underpinning your study. However, the act of articulating the results helps you to understand the problem from within, to break it into pieces, and to view the research problem from various perspectives. Let's go to the writing the results section. First, organization and approach. The best way to organize the results section is logically. One logical and clear method of organizing the results is to provide them alongside the research questions. Within each research question, present the type of data that addresses that research question. Let's look at an example. Your research question is based on a survey: what do hospital patients over age 55 think about post-operative care? This can actually be presented as a heading within your paper, though it might be presented as a statement rather than a question, like Figure 1: Attitudes towards postoperative care in patients over the age of 55. Present the results that address the specific research question first. In this case, perhaps a table illustrating data from a survey. Likert items are also included in this example. Other tables might be include standard deviations, probability, etc. Present a content analysis of one end of the spectrum of the survey or data table. Results should answer main hypothesis or research questions. However, it should be recorded in chronological order or and without any comments. Following this, present a content analysis of one end of the spectrum of the survey or data table. In our example, start with the positive survey responses regarding postoperative care using descriptive phrases. For example, 65% of patients over 55 responded positively to the question, are you satisfied with your hospital's postoperative care? The findings should be expressed in brief, lucid, and explicable words. If the scope of the study is broad or has many variables, or if the methodology used yields a wide range of different results, the author should state only those results that are most relevant to the research question stated in the introduction section. In writing the results section, the sequence of results, tabulated data, and information which will be illustrated as figures should be definitely indicated. The results section of a research paper represents the core findings of a study, derived from the methods applied to gather and analyze information. It presents these findings in a logical sequence without bias or interpretation from the researcher, setting up the reader or later interpretation and evaluation in the discussion section. Next is the content. Introductory context for understanding the results by restating the research problem underpinning your study. This is useful in reorienting the reader's focus back to the research problem after reading the literature review and your explanation of the methods of gathering data and analysis. Inclusion of non-textual elements such as figures, charts, photos, maps, tables, etc. to further illustrate key findings. Rather than relying entirely on descriptive text, consider how your findings can be presented visually. This is a helpful way of condensing a lot of data into one place that can then be referred to in the text. Consider referring to appendices if there's a lot of non-textual elements. A systematic description of your results, highlighting for the reader observations that are most relevant to the topic under investigation. Not all results that emerge from the methodology used to gather information may be related to answering the so what question. Do not confuse observations with interpretations. Observations in this context refers to highlighting important findings you discovered through a process of reviewing prior literature and gathering data. The page length of your results section is guided by the amount and types of data to be reported. However, focus on findings that are important and related to addressing the research problem. It is not uncommon to have anticipated results that are not relevant to answering the research question. This is not to say that you don't acknowledge divergent findings, and in fact, can be referred to as areas for further research in the conclusion of your paper. However, spending time in the results section describing divergent findings clutters your overall results section. Another thing that I want to point out here is that only data and information concerning the study in question should be included in the results section. Results not mentioned in this section should not be included as well in the discussion section. Problems to avoid. First, discussing or interpreting your results. Save this for the next section of your paper. Although, where appropriate, you should compare or contrast specific results to those found in other studies. Next, reporting background information or attempting to explain your findings. This should be done in your introduction section. Often the results of a study point to the need for additional background information or to explain the topic further. So don't think you did something wrong. Just revise your introduction as needed. Next, ignoring negative results. During writing process of a research paper, a generally ill-conceived point is that positive and significant findings are more important, attractive, and valuable, while negative and insignificant findings are worthless and less attractive. A scientific research is, or in in general, is not performed to confirm a hypothesis, rather to test it. Not only positive and significant results are worth writing. On the other hand, negative or statistically insignificant results, which support fallacy or of a widely accepted opinion, might be valuable. Next, including raw data or intermediate calculations. Ask if you need to include any raw data generated by your study, such as transcripts from interviews or data files. If raw data is to be included, place it in an appendix or set of appendices that are referred to in the text. Next, be as factual and concise as possible in reporting your findings. Do not use phrases that are vague or non-specific, such as appeared to be greater than other variables or demonstrates promising trends that. Subjective modifiers should be explained in the discussion section of the paper. Questions like why did one variable appear greater or how does the finding demonstrate a promising trend? You should answer these questions in the discussion section. Next, presenting the same data or repeating the same information more than once. If it is important to highlight a particular finding, you will have an opportunity to emphasize its significance in the discussion section. Do not repeat it in your results section. And lastly, confusing figures with tables. Be sure to properly label or any non-textual elements in your research paper. Don't call a chart an illustration or a table a figure. Tables should be comprehensible and a reader should be able to express an opinion about the results just at looking at the tables without reading the main text. Data included in tables should comply with those mentioned in the main text, and percentages in rows and columns should be summed up accurately. And here are my references.